At my first family reunion, my mother-in-law called everyone for a group game. She handed out cards with nicknames. Mine said charity case. Everyone laughed. My husband said, "It's just how they bond." I smiled through it. Later, I went to the bathroom and found a list on the mirror titled Things We Tolerate About Her. It had bullet points. At the bottom it said, "Expires soon." When I first met Dean, I thought I hit the jackpot. He was kind, funny, and different from anyone I ever knew. He grew up in Austin, Texas. I grew up in a falling-apart house in rural Missouri. Our worlds were nothing alike. But he made me feel like it didn't matter. We dated for a year and a half before getting married. I didn't meet his whole family until after the wedding. We had a courthouse wedding, just a few people there. His mom didn't come. She said she had a conflict. Dean told me not to take it personal. I tried not to. Fast forward a few months, and Dean tells me about this big family reunion. He says it's the perfect time for me to meet everybody. Says his mom is excited to have me there. I should have trusted my gut when my stomach twisted at the thought. Still, I wanted to make a good impression. I went out and bought a new dress from the clearance rack at Macy's. Spent way more than I should have. Dean told me I looked beautiful. I clung to that. When we got there, it was awkward from the start. The house was huge. White pillars. Big fountain in front. Looked like one of those places from a TV show. Everyone inside wore clothes that looked expensive, but casual. They looked me up and down when I walked in. Joyce, my mother-in-law, gave me a tight hug and said, "There's our little project," right in front of everyone. I laughed nervously. Dean kissed my temple and said, "Just her way." The first couple days were full of small moments that chipped at me. Little jokes I didn't understand. Inside stories I wasn't part of. I tried. God, I tried. I offered to help in the kitchen. I laughed at their jokes. I smiled until my cheeks hurt. Then came game night. After dinner, Joyce stood up and said she had a fun surprise. She handed out little cards. Said she came up with nicknames for everyone. All in good fun, she said. I should have known. When people started reading their cards, there was laughter. Some good-natured teasing. Some groans. Everybody was having a good time. Then I opened mine. Charity case. I blinked. I waited for someone to say it was a mistake. That it was a joke that went too far. But no. They laughed. Real belly laughs. Pete even wiped tears from his eyes. He was laughing so hard. I looked at Dean, begging him silently to say something. Do something. He just leaned in and whispered, "Don't make it weird. It's how they bond." I felt something crack inside me, but I smiled, laughed a little, played along. That's what good wives do, right? After a few minutes, I excused myself, said I needed the bathroom. I found one down the hall. That's when I saw the list. It was taped right on the mirror. Things we tolerate about her: she's quiet enough, she cooks okay, she's not ugly, she worships Dean, lol. She doesn't talk about politics, expires soon. My legs almost gave out. I stood there staring at it, trying to make sense of it. I didn't hear anyone come in, but then I heard someone outside the door giggling. Someone said, "Wonder if she found it yet." And then more laughter. I wanted to throw up. I splashed cold water on my face, stared at myself in the mirror. I could have left, packed my things, called a cab, but no. They wanted a charity case? They were about to see just how much a charity case could change their lives. I left the bathroom with my head high. Inside, I was shaking, but outside, I smiled. Dean caught up to me in the hallway. He looked worried, like he knew I might cause a scene. He leaned close and whispered, "Please don't make a big deal. They're just messing with you." I didn't say anything, just nodded. Let him think I was letting it go. That night, when everyone was getting ready for family karaoke, I sat quietly in the corner of the living room, watching, listening, picking up on every little comment they thought I couldn't hear. "She's good at pretending she belongs," I heard Aunt Marla say. "Dean could have done so much better," said Cousin Jamie. I didn't cry. Instead, I started planning. The next morning, Joyce wanted to do a family traditions breakfast. She assigned everyone a dish to cook. I got stuck with pancakes. Dean's job was bacon. I woke up early. Earlier than everyone else. I slipped downstairs. Careful not to wake Dean. Careful not to be seen. In the big kitchen, I found the printed out schedule Joyce had made for the whole week. It was color-coded and everything. She had planned out every event, every meal, every special moment they were going to photograph for their stupid family scrapbook. And there it was, Friday night. Big family video night. They had even rented a projector. They were going to show a family slideshow. Old baby pictures, home movies, the works. Joyce's pride and joy. She talked about it nonstop. So, while I was supposed to be making pancakes, I made a little detour to the guest office where Pete had his laptop. It wasn't even password protected. Amateurs. I plugged in a flash drive I kept in my purse, copied the family slideshow onto it. Then, while humming softly to myself, I edited it. Just a few changes. Nothing too crazy. I added some screenshots I took of that bathroom list. Made sure the title, Things We Tolerate About Her, was clear and big. Added a few freeze frames of their laughing faces from the game night video they recorded on their phones. Added some captions, like, "This is what real family love looks like. So proud of how we treat newcomers. Nothing says welcome like a public humiliation." I timed it so those images would flash up right after the big family photo. Nice and slow. Impossible to miss. After I finished, I saved the new video under the same file name. Quiet as a mouse, I unplugged the drive and made pancakes like nothing happened. When Friday night came, everyone was packed into the living room. Pillows on the floor. Popcorn in bowls. Kids running around. Joyce stood in front of the screen beaming with pride. "I put so much work into this," she said, almost crying. "This is about family, about love." Everyone clapped. Dean squeezed my hand. I smiled sweetly at him. They started the video. At first, it was all normal. Baby Dean playing in the yard. Family trips to Disney World. Thanksgiving dinners. People were oohing and awing. Joyce wiped a tear from her eye. Then it happened. The bathroom list came up. Full screen. Big, bold letters. Everyone froze. At first, people didn't understand. They thought it was a glitch. Then the captions popped up. One by one. The laughing faces. The mocking words. The charity case card. The snickering. Dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. Joyce's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Pete turned red. Aunt Marla started whispering frantically to Uncle Joe. Dean looked at me, horror dawning in his eyes. I didn't flinch. Joyce scrambled to the laptop, trying to shut it off. But it was too late. Everyone saw it. Every single one of them. When she finally got the screen to go black, the room stayed dead quiet. Dean's little cousin asked loudly, "What's a charity case?" No one answered him. I stood up, dusted off my jeans, and said, loud and clear, "Thank you for the warm welcome. It's been unforgettable." Then I walked out the front door. I could hear Dean calling after me, but I didn't stop. I got an Uber to the nearest hotel and booked a room for the night. Turned off my phone. Slept like a baby for the first time in months. When I woke up the next morning in the hotel, I felt calm. Not happy. Not sad. Just empty. It was the kind of quiet you get after a huge storm, when everything's broken, but at least you can hear yourself think again. I checked my phone. 42 missed calls. Dean. Joyce. Even a few cousins. Texts too. Long ones from Dean begging me to come back. Some nasty ones from his family. Calling me childish, petty, ungrateful. Saying things like, "You embarrassed yourself more than you embarrassed us. No wonder you don't fit in." That one hit harder than I wanted to admit. But there was one text that stood out. It was from Dean. Short. Cold. "You need to fix this. Now." That's when it clicked. It wasn't about how they hurt me. It wasn't about how they humiliated me. It was about me making them uncomfortable. I sat there in that stiff hotel bed and realized Dean had never been on my side. Not once. He didn't love me for who I was. He loved me because I was easy to control, because I smiled through the pain and let him stay comfortable. I stared at his text for a long time. Then I blocked his number, blocked Joyce, blocked every single one of them. I didn't go back to the house. I booked a flight home to Missouri. Same-day ticket. Expensive as hell, but worth it. I left everything behind. The new dress. The suitcase Dean packed for me. All of it. I didn't want anything tied to that place. When I landed back home, my mom picked me up. Didn't ask a lot of questions. Just gave me a long, tight hug at the airport. I cried in her arms like a little kid. She just kept rubbing my back, saying, "You're safe now, honey. You're home." 2 weeks went by. I stayed with my parents, got my old room back, helped out at my mom's diner, tried to piece myself back together. Then I got an email. From a private email address I didn't recognize. Subject line: "You might want to see this." Inside was a video link. I almost didn't click it, but I did. It was a recording from inside Joyce's house. A hidden phone propped up somewhere. You could see the family gathered in the kitchen. Joyce was screaming. At Dean. At everyone. "How could you let that little tramp humiliate me?" she screeched. Pete chimed in, red-faced, slamming his hand on the counter. "If you'd kept her on a tighter leash, none of this would have happened." Aunt Marla said, "Maybe now Dean can find someone proper." Dean didn't defend me. Didn't even hesitate. He just said, "I'll fix it." That's when Joyce handed him a manila folder. "You'll serve her these. She doesn't deserve the family name." Divorce papers. They were planning to blindside me, take back everything, and smear me as the villain. I sat there staring at the screen. My stomach twisted, but not with sadness. With rage. They thought they could humiliate me, discard me, and move on? Like I was nothing? No. I wasn't going to crawl away quietly. I wasn't going to let them win. I didn't cry when I saw the divorce papers. I didn't even feel surprised. I felt clear. Focused. It was like the world snapped into sharp color after being gray for months. They thought they were going to destroy me quietly? They had no idea who they were dealing with. The first thing I did was get a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. My old friend, Jessie. She worked family law back in Springfield. Grew up tough like me. Took no prisoners. I showed her the video. I showed her the texts too, the ones where Dean begged me to fix it, the ones where his family called me names. She nodded slow, her eyes cold. "We're gonna eat them alive," she said. Turns out, when Dean married me, he didn't get a prenup. Because, see, I was the charity case. I had nothing to take, right? Wrong. Texas is a community property state, which means half of everything Dean owned since the day we got married. Legally mine. Including the new truck his dad bought him as a wedding gift. Including the house they helped him buy. Including all the fancy investments Pete set up in Dean's name to protect family wealth. Half. Half of everything. Jessie filed the response papers that same week. Not only were we not agreeing to a quiet divorce, we were demanding a full audit of Dean's finances. Every account. Every hidden stash. And guess what? Dean had stupidly tied some of his accounts to Pete's law firm, which meant, when Jessie filed for discovery, we were able to subpoena Pete's firm records too. It caused a nuclear meltdown. Within a month, Pete was under investigation for shady accounting practices. Dean's assets were frozen. Joyce's Family Traditions Fund, a big pot of money she bragged about for family vacations and weddings, locked up tight. They couldn't touch a dime without permission from the court. Dean had to move back in with his parents because the house we lived in, that big beautiful house, was now half mine. And I wasn't about to sell it back to them cheap. Joyce called my mom's diner one afternoon. Had the nerve to scream at her through the phone. Said I was a backstabbing little witch. Said I was ruining Dean's future. My mom just laughed, real low and slow, and said, "Maybe you should have taught your son some manners." Then hung up. Dean finally tried reaching out to me through a mutual friend. Begging. Telling me he missed me. Telling me he was forced to go along with his family. That he still loved me. I didn't reply. Not even once. I let the lawyers do the talking. The day of the final hearing, I dressed simple. Jeans, boots, plain black shirt. Dean showed up in a wrinkled suit. Looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. Joyce sat behind him, wearing big sunglasses indoors, like she was some kind of victim. When the judge ruled that I was entitled to 50% of everything, and that Dean's side had to pay my legal fees because of the harassment and public humiliation, Joyce gasped so loud people turned to stare. Dean put his head in his hands. I didn't even smile. Just signed the papers, stood up, and walked out. After the divorce was finalized, I sold my half of the house to an outside buyer. Not to Dean. Not to Joyce. A random family from Houston bought it. Painted it bright yellow. Joyce hated it so much, she actually tried to offer double the price just to get it back. The new owners refused. Said they loved the color. I heard through the grapevine that Joyce cried for 3 days straight. As for me, I took my cut, bought a small house near my parents, paid off my student loans, opened my own catering business, something I dreamed about for years, but never thought I could do. Turns out being a charity case builds some thick skin. I'm not rich. I'm not fancy. But I'm free. And every time I drive past that bright yellow house on my way through Austin, I smile. Big and real this time. Because they didn't break me. They built me. Without even realizing it.